hello Galactic family. As 2017 approaches fast, many on Earth are anxious and worried. For many, 2016 was quite difficult, with much material of unexpected nature appearing seemingly and spontaneously in their conscious awareness, and from where it comes, they do not know. They thought they had cleaned up all their things, the things that drained their energies, dragging them even deeper into the illusion, even though they were waiting to rise above it, and finally, to live in a world but not of it, being higher up, watching him, being on duty inside him, but free from all his old luggage, that they felt they had done a very good job of discarding. Well, most of you did a good job of discarding what no longer served them. However, you chose to incarnate this time to help awaken humanity, and therefore you had to be totally anchored in the world, experiencing the ups and downs, joys and sorrows, so that you could really relate to those you had coming to help wake up. If you had incarnated on Earth as a spiritually evolved soul, of an apparently higher or wiser nature than those with whom you were interacting, your ability to help them would have been minimal. Those who are on Earth to help, need to see them as human beings as themselves, people who have experienced pain and suffering and who, consequently, are truly able to empathize with them, being in the dark places from which they are trying to leave. Choosing, as you all did, incarnating at this time in the process of awakening humanity, was indeed very courageous, and that is why you are so honored and revered here in the spiritual realms. You are all allowing the obscure or denied aspects of humanity as a whole to arise within you, individually, for recognition, acceptance, and deliverance. It is painful, disturbing, and confusing because you thought you had released all your stuff, and in fact you released, but you are here, by your own choices, to help release the built-up over the eons of humanity on a large scale. This dark matter has to be released and gently discarded because it is an incompatible frequency of energy flowing in and through many millions of people, basically a load of discordant and out of tune notes that distort the inner love which is his true divine nature. Your love, but over the ages many have become intensely engaged in the play of separation, so intensely engaged that they have built a strong resistance to love, the divine energy field that is the life force flowing through all consciousness, and severely reduced their acceptance of that which is their true nature. Free will is free, not imposed or directed, and thus, those who have chosen the separation are free to continue to experience this state for as long as they wish to do so, or to come back to know the oneness. It often seems that people are suffering, miserable, in pain and wanting only to be released from the state, but in fact, they are in the state of their own choosing, and will only leave it when they realize that they can make the choice to do so. They have to realize that they have choices about how they respond to the issues of life they face, and that they are not impotent victims. Victims are those people who are under the control of forces outside themselves, that is, those who are imprisoned or physically restrained, but nonetheless, they have a choice of how they will respond mentally, emotionally and spiritually in situations where meet. Your mind is always free, but in your freedom, you will always be free to perceive it as not being free. Over the last few decades, many excellent self-help books have been published by experienced and knowledgeable psychotherapists, psychologists, counselors, and spiritual healers to help people understand this. There is a wealth of useful information available that people can access readily when they are ready to make the necessary lifestyle and behavioral changes so they can move forward. Of course, you should always treat those who believe they are victims with great love and compassion, while at the same time they do not reinforce this belief by supporting them. The human collective, the only Son of God who was created totally free and eternally remains so, chose to experience the separation ago many eons ago. Separation is an unreal state in which you experience limitations that severely restrict your ability to function as a divine being that your Father has created so lovingly. Being immensely powerful, the environment you build within which you experience separation, the limitation, seems scandalously real when you are incarnated within it as a human being. However, in order to ensure that you could find your way out of the state of this tangle of confusion that you have built, God immediately created your unbreakable bond with yourself, the source of all that is, to ensure that when you make the choice to go back to reality, oneness, as in His divine wisdom He knew you would be able to do it. All that is keeping you from waking from the dream, from returning home to reality is your absolutely false, but collective, belief that you, of which all mankind, are separate from God. As has been said so many times, the separation from the source is impossible. However, as stated above, the illusion you have constructed seems completely real to you, and God, the source, the supreme wisdom, the all that is, therefore, seems to you to be on a completely different level from you, infinitely good, holy, divine, blessed, hallowed, sublime, impressive, far beyond any level of goodness or perfection you could aspire to. That is why, over the centuries, you have judged and condemned your sinfulness, uselessness and shame, and because the horror of admitting that in yourself is so terrible, you project it to others, denying it within yourself, thus reinforcing the feeling of separation that you had built. The apparent result was that you have always been threatened by enemies, those upon whom you have projected your failures by denying them within yourself. Wars have occurred for eons, as you tried to destroy those whom you saw as God's enemies, the God of judgment and guilt that you have invented, when in fact you were warring with yourself, the divine being, created by His Father to live in eternal joy with Him. Finally, the truth that there is only love is beginning to permeate your consciousness as your scientists and philosophers, through their experiences and studies, are realizing that separation is impossible, that everything is inseparably linked to all, and are making this public knowledge. So you are beginning to realize that war or any kind of conflict, and for whatever reason, is totally insane. It is this growing awareness that is nudging you toward awakening, encouraging you to leave the nightmare behind and join as one in love. That is, to remember that you are one, and that you have never been separated from your source, or one another, not for an instant. And that is why we, in the spiritual realms, are so joyfully, and now, we are repeatedly asking to celebrate. The celebration intensifies love, which is your true nature, the nature you share with God, and with every conscious being that God created. So celebrate. You're moving to wake up. With love. Soul.